Here we are, Sacred Space. It's the 2nd of February 2021. It's been raining very heavily, so all the trees are covered in moisture, and if you listen really carefully, you can almost hear them sing. So why am I making this video? Why, Desiree? I want you to all rejoice with me and observe my perfectly mowed lawn. 3 weeks of struggling to get someone to turn up to do the job, and finally a young man on Airtasker took pity on me. Not just pity, I mean he was paid very handsomely, the going rate, a fair price of what the going rate is for lawn mowing. So I want to obsess for a bit longer over this lawn mowing, and I'll tell you why. Spiritually speaking, the ground that we stand on, or the flooring in our houses, represents the foundation, the core of our life. And I've dropped my core out of my own body back in 2007 and had to be surgically repaired, which brought its own trauma because the hospital was so vile. But I'm not going to be angry. I know I sound angry, and to a certain degree I am angry still, but I'm not going to squander my existence in squeamish cells of fury, because it's really quite pointless. Everything that's meant to happen happened, and everything that's meant to come is still yet to come. Of that I have perfect faith. Look at my beautiful chaseberry tree. So I digress, as I often do. I'm making a video and I'm showing you my grass, and it's raining and it's wet, and I could get down on the ground as I'm doing right now, and guess what? I didn't have to eat it after all. And it's wet, and now all my clothes are wet, and do you know what? I don't care. It's only water. And I felt the abstemious sense of kind of a betrayal in a way, because it was so hard to get these lawns mowed. So very, very hard. Let us rejoice in the grass. So hard. Why was it so hard? We can ask the black bamboo tree, the black bamboo. Why is it so hard? I don't know. I don't understand it. I don't understand why my foundations completely dropped their bundle to the point where even my bladder, that was surgically repaired in 2007, 31st of October 2007, actually has been, not really highly functioning either. I've even struggled with that. I guess it's a stress response though. When one is stressed over the most ridiculous, absurdest things, the weakest parts of our foundations of our body literally start to shut down. Been there, done that a million times. Now look at this. It's starting to grow back magnificently with all the rain we've had. The Monstera deliciosa. And that one is another kind of variety of Monstera tatum or something, I can't remember. But anyway, that's slowly growing too. Anyway, I got to get my big fat hobbit tuchus, that means ass, off the wet ground, because I'll end up giving myself chilblains or piles as well, and then I really will have something to whinge about. So I want to talk about my foundations. So prior to my lawn mowing trauma that went on for 3 weeks, I have been experiencing a fair bit of, or not necessarily experiencing it firsthand, but certainly witnessing a fair bit of systemic abuse again out in society. Some of it started with my GP back in, I think it was November, I believe, when she had me convinced I was dying by her reception staff. And I took that quite seriously, because let's face it, I have struggled with my health since infancy. So one tends to think I might actually die one day, because let's face it, death is actually a guaranteed outcome eventually to all of us. But anyway, that was a bit of twisted frickin' sadism on that clinic's part. So I wasn't happy about that. And I regrouped from that. This was just prior to Christmas, people. Thank God I'm Jewish, so she couldn't ruin Christmas for me. But anyway, it did cause quite a bit of distress, even so, holidays aside. And then what happened, the next thing, vile thing that happened, was I went off to the skin doctor for a checkup for my skin cancers that I pop out with monotonous regularity because I live in the subtropics, and as a child I was exposed to quite a bit of sun damage because my mother was so flaming neglectful and abusive. But we won't go there, we won't worry about that. She's dead now, can't hurt me anymore. Moving on. So what do I want to say? The next thing that happened was I go to my long-term dance space, which is the live wire bar at the Treasury Casino. And maybe because I've been a little bit, re-traumatised and a little bit activated and a little bit circumspect about the kind of filthy, vile, patriarchal society we live in, where it's not safe for me to even go to a doctor anymore without them leaning into me with their thighs and just being utterly gross. I then witness abuses there with the band employed by the Treasury Casino. So where am I going with this? I actually wrote a formal complaint on their Facebook page, and I noticed they didn't post it, and I understand because I actually swore a fair bit about it. And we all know that I have some weird form of Tourette's, undiagnosed Tourette's, or the fact that I literally just express myself that way because I'm nothing if not authentic, and I like to keep it real. And if something is utterly fucked, then there's no other way to describe it with more passion and emphasis than to say fucked. And I don't apologise for that. It's fucked when you go out in the evening to dance and some moron paid by the establishment screams out to a woman in the crowd that he wants to root her. It's completely fucked and inappropriate. So anyway, part of that, and that was during the time period, the last 3 weeks of me struggling to get my lawns mowed. So part of that was the Tanya, psychedelic dreamer, the berserker warrior goddess, aka me, short, fat, little hobbit woman, living in splendour in Holland Park at the behest of the Australian government as a small, really when you look at it in the broad scheme of things, it's a small compensation for everything they robbed of me, has had to fight like a wild animal just to get her lawns mowed. And so I am rejoicing. My small, pathetic, limited mode of success. And in this last 3 weeks, and we could have called it the 3 weeks of tribulation, really. It's certainly been tribulation. I was also, because the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away, does he not, gifted some lovely things like this little table that I wanted to have sat beside my lounger, which honestly I didn't know it was going to pour with rain today. I wouldn't have left that cushion out, but anyway. And other little gifts that came my way, like a fridge. I literally said, this was just before Christmas Eve, I think it was the 23rd, I literally said I need a big upright freezer and to start stockpiling food, which ironically I can't afford to stockpile because I don't have enough money for food as it is. But be that as it may, we're getting there day by day, baby steps. But I decided I need a freezer because I knew that with Christmas coming that I would need to be able to put extra food aside because, you know, my tiny remnant family, which is my daughter and my best friend, always come to see me, or at least my best friend does, always come to see me on Boxing Day. And as the gods would decree, my intuition that I would need the extra fridge space was correct, because my beautiful friend Sally blessed me with a large amount of groceries. So thank you, Sally. You are my angel, one of my most potent, gorgeous angels, and I'm wanting to express my gratitude to you, not just for the food, but for the other gifts you have bestowed upon me of immense proportions over the many years of our friendship. Some of it I know you organised anonymously. Isn't it funny how you make a video, how men decide to start using their freaking noisy weapons of destruction, their power tools. But anyway, so you have to laugh. Anyway, where was I? Oh yes. So yes, and thank you to Jared and Lynn, who has also been extremely generous to me over many years, and to my friend Margaret in Melbourne, who I haven't seen in many years, but I know, has always been a loving, true friend. And thank you to all the people on Facebook who have actually never met me in person and live in all the four corners of the globe, but who have blessed me with support and kind words and even prayers when I've actually been in such deep distress that I've had to start a prayer chain, which I don't like to do. I very rarely enjoy involving other people in my spiritual, religious prayers. I like to just deal with things one-on-one with the Almighty. But in desperation, 2 days ago, I actually asked for prayers from a lady who writes the most beautiful spiritual books and is a psychic. And I told her how extremely anxious I was feeling about the lawn mowing situation, which seems trivial on the face of things, but isn't actually, because it's my foundation. It's the land I stand on. I need to keep this place neat and tidy, or I risk running up huge expenses to slash it back down, like I was robbed by housing for $1,000 last time. Extremely overcharged I was. And I need to maintain this place, otherwise they'll get vicious, won't they? Maybe that's just a fear on my part. Maybe it's an irrational fear. But not being able to maintain my lawns means the place starts looking really messy and the neighbours start getting really snide, and then, you know, it starts attacking my equilibrium and my sense of safety in my home space, which is not irrational at all. It's actually quite basic survival mode of any human or animal or bird on this planet. We all have to protect and maintain our nest. Noblesse oblige. Facts of life, people. So, I'm making this video to rejoice with you all and to express appreciation and gratitude that I have somewhere to live, my little government house, and that I have my animals and my bird and the trees and the garden and the rain and the sunshine and my soul and my soul's journey, and as I mentioned earlier, my beautiful soulful earth angel friends and my daughters, even though one is still estranged to me, and I've actually been thinking about her a lot today, but nothing I can do. People have to live by their own freedom of choice and their own will. Even I have to hold true to my own will and my own freedom, for which it's cost me greatly. So there we are, people. I'm just ruminating and musing about my foundations and what I can do to shore them up and protect them and create a safer space for me when I go out into the world, so that I'm not put under an inordinate stress by gronking, filthy fucking idiots, including doctors. And so that my bladder doesn't start to struggle and fail. And how many other of my internal organs, including my liver, struggle and fail when I'm put under inordinate stress. And I'm not being precious, people, I'm not. I do realise how incredibly lucky I am to have a home, because there are many that don't even have that. And to have this beautiful garden that I contributed to. Look at this splendour. I planted this dragon fruit. She's flowered majestically, but unfortunately, even with the shade cloth I put on, she's still dropping her flowers and not bearing fruit. So that's a bit of a tragedy. All that potential just wasted and stymied. So I don't know what to do about that. Can't really do anything now. Just let it be and accept what is. The dragon fruit's a bit like me, isn't it? All that flowering potential that just falls splat on the ground, desecrated and stymied. Sad but true. Anywho, life is beautiful, people. Even in the midst of despair, even in the midst of daily struggles for basic requirements in life, life is still beautiful. It's still full of so many potentials, and all we need is to somehow tap into it and ride that golden seam that dreams and spreads itself gloriously like a thin veneer of golden truth upon the land, the sea and the air we breathe, and the celestial waters and the earth below, and the rose. Look at my rose. I planted that rose. That was a week's worth of groceries. Actually, almost, close to 2 weeks worth of groceries really. But you know what? I feast on the beauty every day. every day. It's taken many years to come to fruition, and it too is struggling to, you see the blooms aren't quite opening up properly. It's how it should be, but more open. So that too's struggling, but I think a large part of that is the intense heat we've had. The intense, debilitating heat. So here we go, we're going to have a little jog, a little jiggity jog. Here's my car, badly needs a wash and polish, so don't look people, because poverty means there's certain things I don't bother with because I have other priorities. But here we have, to the Kabbalists watching, the Ein Sof. My God has such a magnificent sense of humour. They even gave me a car named the Ein Sof, the infinite. So, after 2.5 years of constant battling with those vicious people in the Will Dispute, I can't even bear to say their names because they make me want to be sick, I was gifted the Ein Sof, the infinite. And I shall be grateful for that, because without that I wouldn't have even had wheels for my very limited freedoms that I rejoice in so much. So what else has the Ein Sof got for us? Some kind of strangler vine taking over the tree. But look at my orchids. Look. It's grown. Look at that. It's just grown madly. Actually, that's almost falling off. Might have to tie that on. It's growing. It's just growing like mad. And it's just a thing of beauty. I got that orchid for free. Someone gave it to me. And it's tripled in size in this tree. Like, it's really happy in that tree. I've got the same orchid over here. And it's not really thriving. It's existing like I do on this planet, but it's not really thriving, not like the other one. Look at this. Starting to though, I can see it's growing roots down the side of the tree. It's starting to really latch on, but this was a much smaller piece I put here, but I can't really say it's thriving, but it's hanging in there, so it might take off one day. It might just take off one day. You never know when these things are going to happen. It always happens in the most unexpected moments. And that, my friends, is the magic and the mystery and the wonder of the Ein Sof Or, the eternal light. Blesses who it pleases. This orchid is also thriving. I've had it up there for about, I think it's about 4 years now. You see the roots are all growing all along the bark. It's really latched on. And this one's a baby. It's putting out babies. That baby belongs to this one on this side. So it decided, probably gets too much light, sunshine here. It decided, well, I'm struggling here, so I'm going to be creative and burst out on the opposite side. Let's see how we do over here. Isn't that clever? Oh, let's just see what happened. It just, yes, it's grown from that one of those pieces. It's just rooted itself down. Well, anyway, I'm not going to intervene. I'll let it do what it... Oh, shivers, that hurt. Ouch, it's just stood in a sharp hole. I'm going to let it do what it needs to do in its own time and space. And the heavy rain knocked down one of the elk horns, so I can tie that onto another tree somewhere, get that going. This stag or elk horn, I brought a piece here almost 18 years ago and may have been here. So it's taken 18 years for it to grow to this this large size, but just fabulous. So you see, I do value and rejoice in my garden, and I do take pleasure when I'm able to afford and get someone to mow. Anyway, the kind young man that came has agreed that he will come to mow regularly. So that's good, because that gives him an extra bit of income business and keeps my needs met here with the garden, so I'm not sitting here having epic fucking panic and anxiety attacks and feeling utterly distressed about not being able to maintain the place. However, $80 a fortnight is quite a lot of money, so ideally I would have liked to have bought my own ride-on mower and done it myself, but that's probably cost about what, $2,000-3,000, so I'll have to be realistic and just be happy that someone's willing to do the work for me, because when I hired the lawnmower the other day in utter desperation, I found very quickly that number one, the machine broke down straight away. Number two, I was just not up to the task. It was too hard for me. So this is wonderful. Very, very wonderful. I need to create a bit of a stone circle in the back, and I have to bring a whole bunch of women and any like-minded men, and we'll have to do a bit of a wild cosmic dance, because I think that's what my land needs. It needs a party of the blessed, holy kind, nurturing and protective of sacred space. Let us party. Hava Nagila. On that note, I'm signing off from Sacred Space. Blessed be to all my most beautiful, loving, authentic, genuine, caring, supportive friends, and tiny, tiny remnant family. And blessed be to the gods, the archangels, the angels, the elementals, the land and earth and water spirits, and to a very intrepid Tanya. My goodness, I honestly don't know how I keep doing this life, but here we are, another day. Blessed, 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 blessed. Good morning, people.